Welcome to Local 4 Live, everybody. A lot to cover in the next 2 hours. First up, lawmakers in Lansing working to help Michigan families buy a new home, without breaking the bank. We're going to talk with the state rep that's pushing an important bill through the legislature. Then we're going to dive into the Local 4 archives to revisit a story that shook Oakland County 50 years ago, the disappearance and murder of 4 children, known as the Oakland County child killer case. And after a taste of spring, fog and air quality issues still popping up, some strong winds are pushing us back into winter, though. Mother Nature is bringing gusty winds and some snow. Ash is going to track all of that for us.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
And welcome to Local 4 Live on your Friday, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. Ashley Barrissey sitting across from me here. You know, one of the most challenging things I'm guessing about your job is that our viewing area is so large that you could be having different climates in one corner from another. And I say that because the past several days I have woken up and fog was so dense I could barely drive. Thank you, Grunt Mike. Yep.
Excuse you, Nick.
Yeah. No. My mistake, right? This morning, it wasn't that bad, but now I'm looking at the rest of the area, and apparently everybody else has it now.
I know. So, yeah, the fog definitely is going to, as far as the visibility, vary where you're at. The other part, too, is the other day when I was talking about how we would hit 60, and then we did have mid-60s in sunshine off to the west, where other areas on the east side didn't even get out of the 30s.
Right.
And so, yeah, definitely like these microclimates that we're dealing with, but the fog is a huge part of that. So let's talk about...
Where is that?
Right. I mean, this is much like yesterday, where it didn't matter what camera we were showing you, they all looked the same because they were fogged over. I think part of the thing, Nick, is when you were driving in this morning, we were contending with some of the rain. Now that rain's pushed out for the most part, now with the remnant moisture leading to the fog. So it's, I mean, drastically gotten worse over the last hour or so. So right now, this should be downtown Detroit. You can see the little, raindrops that were stuck on the camera lens.
Raindrops are stuck.
Oh, nicely done. Right around 40 degrees. So it's a mild start to your morning. We'll probably tick upward a couple more degrees, and then we will start to plummet into the afternoon. But the fog has rolled in. The good news is this long-lasting fog that we've been stuck in, we have what we're going to call a mixing mechanism. The wind is going to push that out later today. However, it'll make it feel colder, and we do have a wind advisory, but I think at this point we're like, bring on the wind, get this stuff out of here, because the fog has been never ending. So 47 around 10 a.m., and then we tumble into the 30s. Right now, visibility, you can see down to 0 miles from about Pontiac through Metro Airport down into Monroe, and at best about a mile in some spots. But then once we get past some of the fog this morning, because of the wind pushing it out, we will be talking about a wind advisory that goes into effect at 10 a.m. So here's your heads up. From 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., those winds could be peaking with gusts around 45 miles per hour.
Gosh, so give me a break.
It's trash day. That trash can could be toppled over. And okay, well, here's your break. It'll be cooler with some snow. How about that? So we have a chance for a few flakes this afternoon. And again, come Sunday, where we could get some light accumulation across the area. This forecast, Nick, all week long reminds me of stew. That you could just like take everything in, put it in. Yeah, because that's what we've had.
It's so funny you say that. I was at a parent orientation earlier in the week, and one of the moms in the area, she came up and introduced herself, and she goes, I love watching you guys. I love watching Ashley. Can you please explain to me why we have all this fog? And I said, well, let me tell you. Ashley explained everything on the show today. It's because everything is evaporating, there's no wind, and it just sits there. It's like a stew. I actually said that.
Yes.
Because I listen to Ashley.
Oh, well, thanks, Nick.
Once a week or so.
I'll take what I can get, because my kids don't listen to me very much. So.
All right, thanks, Ash. Our top headline on this Friday morning, what's happening or about to happen in court about an hour from now. The man who pleaded guilty in the death of Detroit neurosurgeon Dr. Devon Hoover will be sentenced. Desmond Burks took a guilty plea after just 2 days of jury selection. He admitted to killing Dr. Hoover in April of 2023. He also admitted to killing a man during a road rage incident in April of 2024. When that sentencing happens, we're going to stream it for you live right here on Local 4 Plus. Again, it's scheduled for 9 o'clock. We now know the names and ages of 3 men brutally killed in southwest Detroit. They were 66-year-old Norman Hamlin, 72-year-old William Barrett, and 65-year-old Mark Barnett. All were found beaten in a basement. 2 of them were stabbed. Investigators think this all happened sometime between Tuesday afternoon and early Wednesday morning. Police say they have narrowed down a person of interest, but would not say if that person has yet been taken into custody. A Saline Township woman trying to stop a proposed data center in its tracks. We're told Catherine Haushalter is looking to intervene in a lawsuit against the township and the company behind this proposed data center. She's arguing that Saline Township leaders violated the Open Meetings Act by settling the case in secret and approving a consent judgment without public input. The hearing to get this sorted out starts at 10 o'clock this morning. We will be following what comes out of that. DTE customers will be paying more to keep their lights on after state regulators approved a $242 million rate increase. This means on average you're going to be paying about $4.23 per month. While it's not the news you might want to hear, this increase is actually lower than the original request from DTE. That was $574 million. The company claims it needs this hike to improve the grid and boost reliability. The new rate starts on March 5th. Well, have you ever wondered if your personal information is really safe online? I promise you are not alone, whether it's scrolling through TikTok or shopping online or doing both. Your data is at risk. The good news? Consumer Reports says there are some simple things you can do to protect yourself. Here's Rhonda Walker.
Every other day, it seems like there's another data breach in the headlines or a letter in the mail offering free credit monitoring from a company targeted by hackers. Consumer Reports says now is the time to take action to help protect your personal data.
Don't wait until your favorite social media account is compromised before you start taking steps to secure your account. Just like you wouldn't wait until your house is broken into before getting a lock. And the easiest way to do that is to use a password manager.
And the good thing about a password manager, it remembers all of your unique and secure passwords, so you don't have to. 1Password Families is one of the top options in CR's password manager ratings. And Keeper offers a free option for a single mobile user. Setting a multi-factor authentication on your accounts adds an extra layer of security. It requires a second form of identification to log in, so hackers can't access your accounts even if they do have your password. If you're not using multi-factor authentication and your password is leaked,
Attackers will use a combination of your username and that password in every account they can find. So you want to make sure that they're not finding other accounts that they can get into.
that includes the old music, dating, or social media accounts that you don't use anymore. One way to clear a lot of your online data at once? CR's Permission Slip app. Even with the free version, you can see what data companies collect about you and request that they don't sell it anymore or that they delete it altogether. And if your data is stolen, it's important to change your passwords immediately and keep a close eye on your accounts for any unusual activity. If you need a little help getting started, Consumer Reports' free online tool, Security Planner, offers step-by-step guidance so you'll know what to do, including expert tips to improve your digital safety and privacy online.
And that was Rhonda Walker reporting. Consumer Reports says the best time to protect your data, of course, is before it gets stolen. Here are a few more ways to keep your info safe. Always check your credit report for any unauthorized accounts and make sure your home Wi-Fi is secure to keep other people out. And don't forget to delete old accounts like unused social media, shopping sites, or apps to lower your risk of your data being compromised. Well, Saline Township is not the only area that has a data center proposed. Still ahead, a local university in Oakland County is now considering the same thing. We'll explain why. Plus, there's a plan to make building a new home more affordable. We're going to be here with one of the lawmakers behind this new legislation to see how it might benefit you if you're looking to make your new home a reality. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. We brought Ashley back in because I'm just so confused about this forecast.
Aren't we all?
You know, and I like, at least for me, it warms up, you get some rain in there, it starts to feel like spring. But as you started talking about last week, these 12 seasons, you know, fall
Right.
spring, is that what you called it?
I was calling it full spring. Some
Full
people
spring.
call it fall spring. I mean, it can have all kinds of names. I'm
Yeah.
sure some that probably aren't even TV appropriate because people get so angry about it.
Maybe also starts with an F.
It could, yeah, that's right. But you know, I was one of the lucky ones that got some of the sunshine in 60s 2 days ago.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I was
yeah.
out walking the dog and like, oh, this is so
Oh,
nice. And I noticed that the trees are budding by my house.
Oh, that's probably
think-
a problem, isn't it?
Well, you know, these are just like, you know, whatever kind of regular trees along the boulevard, and they're
Okay.
probably fine. But I was thinking like fruit crops and like apple trees, things
Yeah,
like that.
they're
That could be a
confused.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes. So hopefully we can just set it straight with
Mm-hmm.
Mother Nature. But we're going to have a few of those ups and downs. Right now, as we take a look at ExactTrack 4D, right along, well, pretty much north of I-69 now, we do have a couple light rain showers that push through the metro area, likely while you were sleeping, unless you've been awake for several hours like us, and then you encountered a little bit of light rain, but it's leaving moisture behind, and you can see how that's in the form of fog in some areas right below me. Ann Arbor, we can't even make out our sky camera there. Looks just like our Windsor sky camera, which is facing downtown Detroit. Now our rooftop camera, a bit better because we're kind of under that lower cloud deck that we have, but still hazy nonetheless. Now let's look at Southfield because this was our best camera of the morning. Now that's completely fogged over. So just giving you the view with your own eyes that that's what you're going to see as you take to the roads this morning. And that results with our map here is 0 mile visibility in the heart of the metro area from Romulus up towards Pontiac down into Monroe and then even off towards Ann Arbor. So the densest fog in the most populated area of southeast Michigan and still haze as you work your way in the farther suburbs. Right now we're on either side of 40. We've been pretty consistent there, but we're supposed to be ticking upward a little bit into the mid to upper 40s by late morning and then falling into the 30s later in the day. We have a chance for a little rain-snow mix. Some of our models keep this mainly as a wet snow. We'll look at that in a moment. But what's going to result in that is the fact that we have these winds that are picking up, and that will have some wind chill readings that are colder. The wind gusts will be around 45 miles per hour around 2 p.m. through the afternoon. And even when this advisory that we have lifts at 9 p.m., we're still going to be breezy with gusts upward of 30 miles per hour. So the 30s that we just kind of plateau in this afternoon will feel more like 20s with the wind chill, about a 10-degree temperature difference. And then our clouds and radar forecast shows how the precipitation then changes. So after the lunch hour, you'll probably see some snowflakes flying. We're getting that bout of winter, so second winter, shall we call that. And we'll have the chance for a mix and some snowflakes later on this evening into the thumb. Saturday, I won't rule out a flake or two flying. Overall, it's just cloudy. But Sunday, we have a better chance of some banding coming off the lakes. We're on the back edge of a low, and that'll bring more scattered snow chances. And I think when the weekend is done, how much snow are we talking overall? Probably about a ½ inch to an inch and a half in spots. So we'll say close to an inch across southeast Michigan. Not enough to get the snow blower out, but you'll be throwing the salt down again. We will be hovering, I would say, seasonal through the weekend. Then we drop below average early next week with highs around freezing, overnight lows in the teens. But at least we get a little break. We're not stuck in that long stretch of the frigid cold. 40s making a comeback by the middle of next week. I know, it's a lot.
I want to growl. And accumulation too?
Well, hey, you know, you don't need the snow blower or the shovel. Well, maybe the shovel.
Now I'm mad that I brought you back for this segment.
Sorry.
All right, thanks,
Friday.
Ashley. I
Happy
know it's
Friday.
Yeah. See ya. Bye. We're going to take a short break here. When we come back on Local 4 Live, how lawmakers are trying to make buying a house, or I should say, building a new house, easier for you to afford when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. A live look over downtown Detroit this morning, where housing costs still a very big challenge for families. Metro Detroit households spend over $22,000 every single year on housing. That's more than 30% of their budget. And home prices have skyrocketed, with costs now about 6 times the average income, up from 2 to 3 years ago. A big reason for that? Well, there's a shortage of homes made worse by the rules that make building them even harder. That's why bipartisan lawmakers have introduced some legislation to make it easier and more affordable to build homes, and also allowing duplexes, cutting some parking requirements, and speeding up some approvals. If passed, it could help more homes more affordable for Michigan families. So to explain what this bill is and what it can do, one of the co-authors of the bill, State Representative Joe Aragona. Your colleague Christian Grant, a Democrat from Grand Rapids, was scheduled to be here, couldn't make it. Plans change, I get it, but this is a bipartisan thing, so just having one side of the aisle, I guess, is okay for this conversation. I say this in the nicest and most loving way possible. I don't get it. Can you explain what this bill would do, or these bills, because it's a package of 6, right?
Yeah, up to 9, actually.
Up to 9,
yeah.
okay.
So we have a number of bills. The goal is to put more housing on the market. As you stated, the housing prices are going up. They're skyrocketing. From 2023 to 2024, the average median home price went up about $75,000.
Wow.
Nick, how is a new person supposed to get into a house? How is a new-time home buyer supposed to get into a new house? Yeah. So this is aimed at putting more housing stock on the market of whatever size, right? A lot of builders are building these huge homes now,
right,
or these huge apartment complexes. Our goal is, what about the people who want a smaller house,
right,
and people who can afford that smaller house?
So how do you do that then? How do you legislate smaller homes?
Sure. So a few things that we did. We're allowing duplex by right. That's one of the bills that we have. So for instance, if you and I want to go out and have a complex, a building, we're going to build a bunch of homes on 50 lots, right? Well, what if we say there's about 25 of those lots that are pretty big and they can handle a duplex? Well, now we just doubled the amount on just those 25 lots.
And
so now we have
law
75
doesn't allow
homes.
that?
Correct. Yeah. Well, locals can zone that out or say, well, we don't want duplexes, but why don't we leave that up to the free market, right? So that's what we're really aiming to do.
Gotcha. Okay, so I've got bullet lists of some things here to
Sure,
try to go through the list. Capping mandatory parking requirements. What is that, and how would that help?
Yeah, so if you want to build an apartment complex, why should you be mandated to have 2 or 3 spots per housing unit in that apartment complex?
If only one person's living there.
Correct. So what if it's a walkable area? You don't really need that much parking, right? Or if you want to try and design more of a walkable area, you don't need that much parking. So we're putting the cap at how much you can mandate for parking at 1 spot per unit.
Okay. Setbacks, 15 feet from the front, 5 feet from the rear. How does that help?
Yeah, so it allows for more housing density. Let's put more housing in an area. If you want a development where you're going to have houses a little closer together, you shouldn't be able, no one should be able to tell you, well, you have to be 100 feet, 150 feet off the road. That's a lot of land that if you're a developer and you think you can put more housing there, it's probably going to be a little bit more affordable for that first-time home buyer or for a renter.
Okay. Another bullet point out of some of these articles was capping the minimum dwelling size at 500 square feet.
Sure.
Or the lot requirements at 1,500.
Sure. So 500 for
I feel like this is a pop quiz for you.
I feel like that too. I haven't been in high school for a couple of years, Nick. Jeez. But I'm still in the first home that I bought about 10 years ago. It's a little under 1,200 square foot, right? You don't really see that being built anymore. In fact, there's some mandates in some municipalities that say, well, you got to do 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. Well, do we really need to mandate those larger homes? Maybe it's okay to have those first starter homes that you see in Clinton Township and St. Clair Shores and Roseville, right?
So a lot of the issues here, it sounds like, are local ordinances or zoning restrictions. These are not necessarily state laws, but you're looking to, I don't want to say supersede because it has a bad connotation, but kind of force the locals to say maybe you should take another look at this?
Yeah, we want them to take a look at exactly how restrictive they're being, right? So this really stemmed out of sitting down with a lot of developers and saying, look, in 2005, you put about 54,000 housing units on the market. 2 years ago, you put about 15,000. What gives? Because we clearly have a lack of supply. I mean, every statistic you look at, we have a lack of supply. And a lot of what they were saying was, let's cut through this red tape. Let's stop inhibiting us from building what we think we can build and what we think we can make money on. So this is really what that's aimed at.
You know, it's funny you say that because there's an assumption out there that these mini McMansions are being built everywhere because that's where the builders make their money. But it sounds like it's the opposite.
Well, if you want to go out and build that middle market type of house, yeah, you're gonna make more money on those little mini McMansions, right? But if you want to build that middle income house, how much regulatory burden are you going to have to go through? It's similar. And then how much of a timeline is it going to take you to put that on the market, right? If people are kind of getting in your way and they don't really like that particular type of development, well, maybe they can extend out your time. That's money to you as a developer.
I see. Are you getting any pushback from the local municipalities saying, let us mandate our own areas, you stay out of this, Lansing?
Yeah, there's some. There's also some that are taking a hard look at it and actually like a lot of the things we've done. There's actually cities who have actually already implemented some of these things.
Okay.
So we're trying to work through those types of things with them and see where maybe there can be some consensus.
Gotcha. Okay, so 9 bills just introduced, right?
Yeah, so we're starting with 9 bills. You know, there's a couple of different things we can do for housing. This is more the regulatory side. There's also a finance side, and then there's also kind of a tax side. So, you know, the Speaker of the House is Matt Hall. Yep. He's really taken a hard look, along with the governor, at what property taxes look like and what those can look like in the future. There will be some bills coming out specifically on the finance side, on like some housing credits. But this is more the regulatory side, and this is what we're starting with right now.
I see. Are we going to keep these together as a package and try to get all 9 pushed through, or are you going to separate them out?
Well, the legislative process is long and arduous. We'll see.
Best guess on timeline. Like, if this gets approved, both the House and Senate, both sides say yes, gets to the governor's desk in a year?
Yeah, well, I'm optimistic. I've talked with the governor directly. She's in favor of housing reform and doing things like this. And this package is not only bipartisan, it is also bicameral. So I'm optimistic.
Got it. Okay, State Rep Joey Aragona, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, 50 years later, there are still questions surrounding a case that has haunted the community in Oakland County. We went back into our archives to ask if there is any hope to find the Oakland County child killer. Laura Costa caught up with the sister of one of the victims, what she thinks could provide a break in this decades-old case. Coming up. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli with the Local 4 News Update. In about 30 minutes, the man charged with murdering neurosurgeon Dr. Yvonne Hoover will be sentenced. Desmond Burks took a plea deal admitting he killed Hoover in April of 2023. He also admitted to killing a man during a road rage incident in 2024. Burks' plea deal guarantees he will serve at least 40 years in prison. We're going to stream that sentencing for you when it happens live on Local 4 Plus. But before that, we're going to look at another high-profile case going back 50 years, a deep dive into when 4 kids disappeared and were murdered in Oakland County. Plus, a sharp divide on Oakland University's campus as it could be the future site of another AI data center. And as we are counting down the final days of the Olympics, we're going to sit down with the Metro Detroit native with an unforgettable voice. That's Mike Tirico. All that coming up on Local 4 Live over on Local 4 Plus.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
And welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. It has been 50 years since the man known as the Oakland County child killer terrorized that community. Decades later, are we any closer to knowing who kidnapped and murdered Mark, Jill, Christine, and Timothy back in the 1970s? Lauren Kostek, an investigator here at Local 4, spent the last several weeks in our archives going through old interviews, talking to the people closest to that case.
They tied them so damn tight, you know. You try to fight, it just cuts into you.
How can you just kill a 12-year-old in the middle of a very busy intersection and no one knows anything? How can that be?
Their bodies were tossed by public roadsides, almost as if to taunt officers.
Christmas is something that Jill was really looking forward to.
We were being told that these were isolated incidents. They were working on them and to be careful, but there still was no child killer out there that was a serial type of killer. So our communities were on edge.
The whole community was in terror.
We were all over the map with theories and who was involved.
It was torture. This was not one killer.
It's one of the most notorious unsolved cases in Michigan. From February 1976 to March 1977, 4 kids were kidnapped and murdered in Oakland County along the Woodward Corridor. Their bodies left in the snow along highways and in parking lots. The entire community was frozen in fear.
It was every bit as horrible as you could imagine.
It was very scary for the community. It kind of broke a sense of innocence.
The monster behind it became known as the Oakland County Child Killer. 50 years later, the case remains unsolved.
So you still believe this case could be solved?
100%. Somebody out there, I think, at some point, if they're still alive, had real information, and either because of fear or participation didn't divulge it.
February 15th, 1976, 12-year-old Mark Stebbins was snatched near his Ferndale home. 4 days later, his body was found in a strip mall parking lot in Southfield, smothered, sexually abused, with rope marks binding his wrists and ankles.
Why would somebody take my brother off the street and do such brutal things and murder him?
On December 22nd, 1976, 12-year-old Jill Robinson vanished after an argument with her mother. Her body was found days later along I-75 near the Big Beaver exit in Troy, shot in the head.
She was missing from December 21st.
And then left.
And then they found her the day after Christmas.
On January 2nd, 1977, 10-year-old Christine Mahalik disappeared while walking to a 7-Eleven in Berkeley. 19 days later, her body was buried in a snowbank in Franklin Village, smothered to death.
Christine Mahalik called her mom because she wanted to walk up to the 7-Eleven, and her mom said, okay, but be very careful. It was 3:30 in the afternoon.
On March 16, 1977, 11-year-old Timothy King went missing after leaving his Birmingham home to go to a pharmacy to buy some candy. 6 days later, his body was found in a ditch in Livonia, suffocated and sexually abused.
I have one other statement to those persons or person who may be with Tim. I don't know if you have children or if you want to have some, but please treat Tim the same way you would your own kid. Talk to him. He's a talkative kid if you've spent some time with him.
He was smart and funny and energetic, kind, thoughtful. He was just a wonderful kid.
The killer held his victims for days, even weeks, bathing, feeding them, and washing their clothes before taking their lives. Then he left their bodies in plain sight, almost taunting police.
We were all over the map with theories and who was involved, and was it the car with the hockey stick logo on the side? Was it a police officer that possibly was involved? Was it a priest? Was a person of authority that could get kids into the car without commotion?
He was missing for a week. It was torture. This was not one killer.
Over the decades, several suspects have been named. Men with ties to pedophilia and violent crimes, including Christopher Bush, Arch Sloan, Gregory Green, James Gunnels, and Ted Lamborghini. Evidence ranged from DNA to straight-up accusations. Some have also linked the case to a child pornography ring on North Fox Island, which operated at the same time of the murders. But none of these leads led to someone being charged with the murders. Many blamed investigative mistakes, infighting among agencies, and even an alleged cover-up. At the heart of this fight is the King family. Frustrated by the lack of progress, Timothy's dad, Barry, filed lawsuits against the state police and prosecutors, leading to the release of over 3,000 pages of documents. Documents that reveal the prime suspect, Christopher Bush. Bush was a convicted pedophile and the son of a high-ranking GM executive. He committed suicide in 1978, shortly after the killing stopped. In 2012, investigators said DNA testing cleared him as a suspect. Barry continued to feel dismissed by investigators and the prosecutor. In 2020, he died without answers.
It's sickening what he had to endure the last 15 years of his life, just asking for transparency. And, you know, he understood they couldn't tell him everything, but he saw through what they were doing. And of course, you know, his kids, the three of us, we saw through it too.
Today, Kathy and her siblings refuse to let this case die.
We need someone to say, this is a cold case. This is the coldest of cold cases. Here's what we're going to do with the evidence. Here's what we're going to do with the documentation. And here's how we're going to evaluate whether there's been obstruction of justice in this case.
Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard agreed to sit down with us.
I was a brand new boot. I was 20 years old.
This was the biggest investigation of its time, a race against the clock.
Probably one of the most vivid memories is the night when the young King boy was taken.
Bouchard joined a massive search, stopping every car, hoping to catch the kidnapper before it was too late.
Because the hope and prayer was, could you catch the car as it moved, Timmy King, maybe in the trunk or in the back seat somehow, bound up before he was killed.
Decades later, the sheriff says the case still haunts him, and he believes it can be solved.
It's either going to be new technology or somebody that has information that could fill in that one piece of the puzzle that can allow this to go forward. I think those are our only two kind of Hail Marys at this point.
Technology like mitochondrial DNA and genealogy. The only problem, much of the evidence is no longer viable or it's been used up during previous testing.
Can we do things now that we couldn't do then with what we have? And that's constantly what we're re-examining. What else can we do? How has that changed?
Do you think it was any of the people that have been named that could have been the killer?
Yeah, potentially.
There have been concerns about, you know, this case being, how would I say, obstructed, or there was a cover-up. What do you have to say to that?
I never saw any evidence that there was a cover-up or a blockage by law enforcement. And if I did, I would call it out and I would push through it. I wouldn't tolerate it.
In the meantime, Kathy keeps fighting, demanding evidence be retested, files digitized, and the case given to a dedicated cold case unit. But above all, she wants the truth.
You know who I want to come forward? I want the cops who worked on this case, who knew or suspected how this investigation got derailed and why. I want them to come forward. It's on you now.
The family and the victim deserve to have an agency that never gives up on them, and we haven't, and so we won't.
That was our Lauren Kostick reporting. The Michigan State Police did not want an interview with us, but said the case is still open, and they are also investigating new tips. We have a number to call over on clickondetroit.com if you have any information. We are less than 2 months from opening day, and the Tigers are showing off some brand new outfits. Next, we're going to take a look at the ode to the Bless You Boys era. Plus, here's Khalil Maycock.
There's a proposal to bring an AI institute and data center here to Oakland University. I'll tell you how far along the school is in the process, what they think this will add, and how students feel about all of this.
Welcome back, everybody. Oakland University could soon be home to a new AI institute and data center, and it's not getting a warm welcome from everybody on campus. The administration says a data center is in line with their strategic goals. Here's where it would go, in parking lot 35, just off of Pioneer Drive over at Squirrel Road. Students had a lot to say when they talked to Khalil Maycock, both good and bad.
I spoke with students on both sides. Some people who are for this proposal say this will give the university an edge, while others who are against it say that this could harm the environment. On Oakland University's campus, parking lot 35 could become an AI institute and data center. This is one of the many data center proposals we've told you about recently. There are no renderings to show or price tag to share. That's because so far, the project has only been approved for exploration.
I have a lot of issues with the location. I have a lot of issues with the project.
Clover DeVore is against the project. The president of the College Democrats at OU says they're concerned the proposed location could harm the environment.
We have no guarantee we'll even be relevant still in about 10 years. With how fast technology develops, there's no guarantee that this will not be obsolete in the next 10 years.
But Jaden Kobos says the school needs it.
I think having a data center here will be a great edge in Oakland University's ability to be competitive to other colleges, to move up in research rankings compared to some of the other bigger guys.
And the student body president is leaning more towards this.
My personal opinion is mixed.
In a poll sent to students that he shared with me, out of 100 responses, over half are opposed to the data center, while 15% are for it.
This is a critical phase, but there's been no decision to make a data center at this point.
Stephen Mackey with OU says the school just signed a feasibility study to see if a data center could go here. The study will look at cost, more locations on campus, and the impact to students and staff. And Mackey says once that feasibility study is done, a recommendation will be sent to the Board of Trustees. That's expected to happen by June. He also adds that they want to continue to hear from students because he says their opinion matters. Reporting on Oakland University's campus, Khalil Maycock, Local 4.
All right, Khalil, thank you. In less than 2 months, the Detroit Tigers are going to take to the field for opening day at Comerica Park. And while veteran Justin Verlander is coming back to Detroit, the Tigers are also bringing some fresh energy with some 2 alternate uniforms. Check it out. If you're a fan of the 1984 Bless You Boys World Champ, you're going to love these. One of the uniforms is bold and bright orange, while the other one is classic navy blue. They're going to wear the orange ones for Friday home games and the navy blue ones in select road games. The home jerseys feature the classic Old English D, while the road shirts have the scripted Detroit that we're used to so much. Check out the sleeve patch as well. It shows the Growling Tiger logo from the team's glory days in 1968 and 84. The sleeves and collars have been striped, inspired by the 1984 jerseys, and the caps have an orange bill and crown to complete the look. The caps have an orange bill. Again, fans can buy them starting today at the D-Shop connected to Comerica Park. And if you're going to be in Lakeland for spring training, you can also pick them up there. T-minus 2 minutes until we are back on for Local 4 Live. A live look now at the International Space Station. We are blasting off into the history books for what happened on this day 64 years ago. Welcome back, everybody. A live look at Earth right now. You can kind of see it off there in the distance through the International Space Station. Today, we're remembering a very big moment in history. It was on this day, 1962, that astronaut John Glenn became the first American to orbit Earth aboard Friendship 7. It launched Cape Canaveral. He wasn't the first American in space, that was Al Shepard, but Glenn was the first to orbit, completing 3 orbits before a mechanical issue cut that mission short. Glenn had already made history in 1957 with that first supersonic flight across the U.S., flying from L.A. to New York in just over 3 hours. He was also one of the original 7 NASA astronauts, a true pioneer in space exploration. All right, speaking of pioneers, Ashley Barrissey is here pioneering a very strange forecast.
It must be because I went to John Glenn High School.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, the connection there.
See? That's why Ashley is here. And your forecast?
Back to the skies. So here we are, Exact Track 4D. We have a little bit of light rain kind of just lingering close to the radar site. I think a lot of that's a fine mist because the line of showers we were contending with now in the tip of the thumb and even pushing up past the Saginaw Valley. And so we will continue to hold on to some moisture. Oh, I'm going to bounce back here because I want you to see the views across town. So here we go as we're zooming in. Ann Arbor, that's a little improvement from when I joined you about a half hour ago.
You can actually see something.
Yeah, it might be blurry, but you can see that there's something there. Let's go ahead and check in with our Windsor Skycam. Little improvement there. I think, Windsor's starting to pick up a little bit.
Yeah,
They're not as gusty as they'll be later, but the wind's going to help us. And so soupy to say the least, but we can see some buildings in downtown Detroit. Let's check out Southfield because that was the one that was late to the party with fog. I think it's going to be late to dissipate too.
Right.
So, yeah. So overall, I mean, we will continue to see improvement with visibility. Areas that were down to 0 miles are now at 1, like at Metro Airport. Now we're still holding on to some of the denser fog farther south, but we will continue to see the fog lift as we roll through the morning and temperatures will rise over the next hour or two, and then we will start to see them fall. But they've been hovering right around 40 degrees for a while. We've gone up about a degree or 2 in some spots. So I would say mid, maybe upper 40s if we're lucky, around 10, and then we will fall into the 30s. But we have a chance for a little bit of a wintry mix, if not a few wet flakes this afternoon, and we will have wind chill readings colder than next. You're probably thinking, well, 38, it's above freezing. Well, there are a lot of factors. I mean, the upper atmosphere will be colder at that point. So wind gusts, let's take you through the timeline here. By 2 p.m., that's when we start to see really the strongest wind arrive. Those wind gusts will be right around 45 miles per hour, taking us into that wind advisory for sure. And then even when that advisory lifts at 9 p.m., we're still blustery and breezy out there with those gusts around 30 miles per hour. So as we hover in the 30s, we kind of plateau in the 30s this afternoon. It'll feel about 10 degrees cooler with the wind chill. So it'll feel more like 20s. And that's, going to be a little adjustment for us. We've been used to the 40s, 50s, even 60s in some spots. Now, as we walk you through the timeline of the wintry precipitation, I would say by 1, 2 o'clock, you're likely going to see a couple of those flakes flying across the area. Better chance of that persisting a bit in the thumb later on this evening while the rest of us have the cloud cover. I won't rule out a couple flakes on Saturday. I think overall we're pretty much just dealing with cloud cover, but Sunday's our better shot at getting rounds of more lake effect bands on the back edge of this low that could result in some accumulation. So I would say model data puts us right around an inch. Really the range is about a ½ inch to our south, 1.5 inches to our north, but we could see this start to stick across the area after we were finally able to melt away a lot of the snow that we've had. The mounds in the parking lots, those will probably be there till June, but we will be pretty seasonal this weekend. We take a dip early next week, so I mean those teens for morning lows make a little comeback, but not for long. I think this is the thing to think about, Nick. We were stuck in that.
This is actually trying to make it all better.
Here's my Feel Good Friday part of the forecast for you. We had just, it seemed like a month from, late January into early February where we just didn't even get above freezing.
Yes. It was
where at least we're getting
sub-freezing,
like the ebb and flow. Like we're going to take a little dip, but then we rebound. And so it shouldn't be as brutal, I guess is what I'm saying.
I was just so happy that my driveway cleared itself and there were no ice jams and and now I've got to get the shovel back out.
Well, I don't even get the shovel.
No?
Maybe throw some salt.
Leaf blower?
Maybe.
A little too wet, right?
It might be a little wet, yeah. I don't know, we'll see. I mean, a ½ inch, I do think that you can get away with not shoveling.
Yeah,
and if you end up in that, area that's like more of an 1.5 inches, then maybe you're shoveling a little bit. But it's not like snow blower stuff where you get like 6 inches of snow.
Oh my gosh, I know, that's fair. I will say, we haven't had a ton of that, although last year was a lot better.
As far as what?
Snow accumulation.
Oh.
How many times you had to snow blow it?
Well, yeah, but we didn't have much melting last month, though.
That's true.
I know. It just kept mounting on top of each other.
You keep digging yourself a hole here.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Or building yourself a mountain.
See you Monday.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Ash. Well, the closing ceremonies for the 2026 Winter Olympics is Sunday, 2 days away. But before, there's actually still plenty of events happening. Coming up next, we're going to go to Milan for a check of that medal count. And we're hearing from Michigan's own Mike Tirico about broadcasting the world's largest sporting event. Coming up next. Welcome back, everybody. A live look at the Olympic medal count right now. Norway has a strong lead with 34 medals, 31 of them coming from skiing events. Team USA stole second place from Italy with 27 medals, but the home country is still right behind us with 26. Now, of course, if you've been watching, Ty Steele has spent the last few weeks in Milan, and he just keeps bumping into Michiganders. One of them, our very own Mike Tirico, who went right from the Super Bowl to the Winter Olympics. Take a listen to their conversation.
It's been a busy month for all of us here at NBC, and there's no one busier than the voice of the Olympics himself, Mike Tirico. Tonight, we're taking you behind the scenes of his broadcast home here in Milan and his message for everyone back home in Metro Detroit.
I'm looking forward to being at home next week, putting my feet up. I hope you're working because I'm expecting to watch you.
On the world's biggest winter stage, one voice from Metro Detroit connects it all.
You talk to the people who've covered the Olympic Games, and I'm so glad you've had this opportunity because you want more.
Inside NBC Studio A in Milan, the very set where millions tune in each night around the world, I sat down with Ann Arbor's own Mike Tirico, the host of these Olympic Games.
It's an honor. It really is. And it's to see Michigan athletes in a variety of sports. As a matter of fact, some of the athletes, like Winter Vinecki, athletes who are involved, who live in northern Michigan, I just get a little more pride in seeing them. If I happen to come across them in the primetime show, their hometown probably gets mentioned a little bit more often than other states, no disrespect. But
glory, defeat, and everything in between. Tirico always finds the perfect tone. Even the story of our own Madison Chock and Evan Bates, caught up in that silver medal judging controversy.
I know that there's disappointment for Maddie and Evan because they're so nice. I mean, living in Ann Arbor, getting to know Evan, knowing his family in Ann Arbor, I would have loved to have seen them on a personal level win gold.
Physically, it doesn't compare, but hosting the Olympics is its own marathon event.
You don't think that we were on the air for 6 hours the day before that, we've traveled across the Atlantic from the Super Bowl to here. You think about how are we going to give the folks who are sitting back at home 3 hours of the best possible TV so they can enjoy their night before the Local 4 News.
This may be his sixth time as NBC's primetime host, but it never gets old. The emotion, the pressure, and the moments that unite the world.
There's a sadness and emptiness. You're exhausted. You want some days off at the end of the 17-day run. But then Monday, you're like, man, this isn't as fun as Sunday and Saturday and all those days before.
In Milan, covering the Olympics for Local 4, I'm Ty Steele.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. Sound familiar? That's what fans over at Little Caesars Arena will be hearing tonight as New Edition takes the stage with Tony Braxton. Our own superfan producer, Sheree Calhoun, caught up with Johnny Gill and Michael Bivens to hear about their love for Detroit.
First of all, thank you. Thank you, Detroit, because they always show up and show out. And when we went on sale, Detroit was one of the first that said, we're in there. And they, Detroit is like, listen, we bringing it all out. We bringing our A game to give y'all everything we got, because that's how much we appreciate Detroit.
Yep, good stuff. I'm not coming behind that. He speaks for the both of us. That's great.
He says he did it fine the first time. Well, if it isn't love, I guess you could say. Tickets for tonight's show are still available. They start at $90. All right, stay with us for another hour of Local 4 Live. We're going to bring you our panel discussion on NIL, the decision to allow high school athletes to earn money on their name, image, and likeness. And we're also waiting for that sentencing to start in the murder of Detroit neurosurgeon Dr. Devon Hoover. Well, both for you coming up next here on Local 4 Plus.